edition of the MMAOB Daily podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin. I'll be taking you through the latest in the world of mixed martial arts, and I brought along my buddy Cole Sheldon here because there was some breaking news this morning. Conor McGregor's in some hot water, so I want to get Cole to come and talk about what happened with Conor. Guys, first and foremost, follow me on Twitter at MMAOB. You can follow him at Cole Sheldon91. This podcast is available at MMAOddsbreaker.com. It's on our YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe, comment, tell your friends about it, guys. I'd appreciate that. Also, check me out at bjpen.com. Cole's there as well, and MMARains.net. All right, Cole, so the Conor McGregor thing. I woke up and I saw this video, man, of Conor allegedly punching an old man in a bar over a whiskey argument or something. I'm not 100% sure what happened. I don't know if he was drunk. We don't really know any details. You know, some people are saying he threw a shot at the guy and didn't punch him. It's kind of hard to see from the video, but initial thoughts on the video when you saw it this morning?
Yeah, it's hard to tell what it was, but it obviously doesn't look good. It's an elderly man. Really no UFC fighter or really any MMA fighter should be throwing punches in the street. Like, that's what they get paid to do. But it was just a mess. Like, this guy just keeps on getting in trouble. It's just he can't stay out of trouble. Like, he had the cell phone incident a few months back. Now he has this. But there's no real, like, I don't really know when it happened. Like, I think it would have happened pretty recently if TMZ just got it, but obviously it's huge news and not good luck for McGregor or the UFC.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? I mean, he's constantly getting in trouble, doing stuff outside the octagon that he shouldn't be doing. We all know the bus incident last year. Obviously, UFC 229, although that wasn't 100% his fault, of course. Khabib was the one who jumped out of the cage, but just so much stuff goes on outside the world of actual fighting with Conor McGregor, and this is very embarrassing. I mean, TMZ posted the video, Cole. Everyone's talking about it right now. Do you think there's going to be any repercussions, or do you think Dana White's going to put this under the bridge like he usually does?
I think it's going to be classic Dana White, where he just doesn't really address it or doesn't really talk about it. He'll just say, "Oh, we'll deal with this internally," and then nothing will ever happen. They can't afford to get McGregor mad at them, and then he'll just say, "All right, I'm never fighting again." Because even if he only fights one more, that's a huge payday for the UFC. So they can't risk pissing him off and losing that.
Yeah, exactly. And Dana did talk about Conor the other day. He said that Conor wants the winner of Khabib and Dustin Poirier. I personally don't think he deserves a title shot. I think Tony obviously deserves that title shot. Do you think he's going to get it regardless of this incident? Do you think Conor McGregor's going to be next for the title?
I hope not, because
he
doesn't really deserve it, but
we all know he's a big draw, and like it's arguable that some of these incidents outside the cage actually make him an even bigger draw. But we'll see what happens with this. I mean, Dana White obviously has to comment about this. I'm sure he's going to give a nonchalant answer, Cole, but someone's got to ask him. They're in Anaheim right now. I think Dana's there already. I'm pretty sure he is. So maybe I don't know if there's a media interview with him today, pre-fight scrum, but I know they do a post-fight scrum, obviously. So they'll be talking to Dana at some point, and I'm sure this is going to be brought up at some point. But geez, it's just a bad look. First thing I did when I woke up, check my Twitter, see what news is out there, and I see this. So that was very disappointing. You posted the article yesterday at bjpen.com about Nate Diaz smoking CBD at the open workout. So when I saw this yesterday, I was like, he's not smoking a joint, really, right? Because that could hurt his standing in the fight. The California State Athletic Commission could remove him from the fight. We'll see what happens there. But it looks like it's CBD, so that is allowed in competition, I believe, or outside of competition. I'm not 100% sure about the rule about that, but what did you think when you saw that, and is it no big deal?
Well, when I first saw it, I'm like, that's just classic Nate Diaz. And then I started thinking, I'm like, no way he's going to get this fight pulled. Like, exactly. It's in public. And then, like, Brett Okamoto, a bunch of, like, reporters were like, I've never even smelt this. Like, before, it's, like, a different smell than normal, like, cigarettes or joints are. So it's kind of weird. And then they asked Diaz after, and he's like, oh, yeah, it's just my own line of CBD because that's allowed in competition. And he goes, I'm going to save the joint for after the fight because then I'm outside of competition.
Yeah, no, exactly. And we got a comment here from Shabazz. Thanks, buddy. Money changes people. It's true. I mean, Conor McGregor is definitely not the same guy he was a couple of years ago when he was on his way up to the UFC and when he was on, I believe, welfare checks in Ireland and trying to make his run up the ladder. Now he's obviously a superstar, and he feels like I think Conor feels like he can get away with these things, and he does for the most part. And this guy says, Shabazz says, Conor should be charged heavily. Well, Shabazz, we got to wait till the facts come out. I think that's fair to say, but yeah, this is not a good look, man. Not a good look at all. And everyone in the MMA world is going to be talking about it. I think a lot of people are still sleeping right now, but when they wake up, they're going to see this video and be like, "Whoa, it's whiskey bad." I still haven't actually tried the proper 12. Have you tried it, Cole?
Yeah, my friend went to Ireland and brought
How
a
was
bottle
it?
back.
I don't like liquor, so I only drink beer. So
yeah, I only drink beer normally too. It's not bad. Like
yeah,
it's something that I'll just probably have just to like just pour it, but it's nothing that I'd like go on my way to drink and buy.
yeah. Norm E. White says Connor threw a drink on a punch. You know, Norm, I mean, you could be right, but everyone's saying it's a punch, but I'm with you in that it could be him just throwing a shot. It is hard to see, man. It's not a great video, but that's why me and Cole, I brought Cole on today to talk about it because I didn't want to be like, oh, this guy threw a punch at him. Allegedly he threw a punch, but we're going to see his side of the story. We'll hear some people in the bar. I'm sure there will be witnesses in there that saw exactly what happened. But yeah, I wouldn't say the video's clear though. It looks pretty grainy.
Well, you think it's like the security camera in that bar would have to have better footage than that?
I would hope so. I mean,
because you can't make out anything, so then everyone just basically just gets cleared if anything happens in that bar because you can't really tell anything.
Isn't it funny how these things they get to TMZ so quick though? Like this, I don't know when this happened. If it was last night or not, but like whoever owns the bar is like, "Hey TMZ, I got this video, Connor, like actually striking this guy."
They're probably making a good amount of money off of it.
Yeah, I'm sure they sold it to them, of course. And I don't blame them. But anyways, yeah, the Nate Diaz thing we talked about. Just quickly before I on to the next thing, I forgot to mention this. This morning, Francis Zingano announced on his Instagram that he's going to be starring in the Fast and Furious 9. That's awesome, eh, Cole? Like I'm happy for this guy. I mean, I think he could be a star. I don't know how his acting is going to be, obviously, but Randy Couture was in the Expendables 1, 2, and 3. Why can't Francis do a small role in this movie?
Well, Ngannou has the body for like Fast and Furious, like that big buff guy. Like his English, like I don't know how that's going to be because sometimes it's hard to understand, other times it's like really good. So that's gonna be interesting. I don't know. They didn't really reveal his role, like if it's gonna be a major or a minor one. I assume it's probably just gonna be a minor one. But I feel like he's gonna be in it enough, just not a whole lot of speaking parts. Like, but he's like that perfect guy in Hollywood, like one of those like bad guys or like a bodyguard for like a celebrity, like in a movie. Like that's kind of the perfect role for him.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I wrote the article at BJ Penn. Like, there's been a lot of MMA fighters in movies the last couple of years. Gina Carano was in Haywire. That was a great movie. She did a great job in that. GSP was in Captain America. Rampage was in the A-Team. And Ronda Rousey, of course, was in the Fast and Furious 7. So Francis following her footsteps. I'm sure he's going to make some good amount of money here. Cole, he really should be next in line for DC for Stipe, the winner of that fight. But I have a feeling he took this role thinking, you know what? I don't know when DC's even going to fight again or if he's going to fight Jones, and I'm going to make some more money outside the cage. So we'll see what happens there. Next up, speaking of DC, he talked to TMZ last night. He said that Jon Jones should not be part of the GOAT conversation because of the drug tests. Any thoughts on that? Because for me, if you're not going to include, and Jones went to Twitter and talked about this yesterday. He said, well, if you're not going to include me, you can't include Anderson Silva then. Any thoughts on that? I mean, PEDs have been such a big part of the sport, right or wrong. I feel like it's really hard to discount these guys, even though they have both tested positive, obviously.
Yeah, it is really hard to say, like, if they should be in it. And you don't really know how much it's actually affected them because, like, the Jones stuff, it's like the picogram. There's scientists saying it doesn't affect them at all. And it's from, like, a tainted supplement. Like, a lot of these guys, too, what the problem is, a lot of what they pop for is tainted supplements. So it's not their fault it's getting in their body. So then you kind of have to discount all of them. Like, I get what he was saying, like, oh, in baseball, like, you see guys like Barry Bonds not getting into the Hall of Fame, but, like, he was one of the best ever. But that's a totally different sport where now it's past that drug era, but there's still always an MMA, like, fighters taking stuff or tainted supplements. So it's hard to discount everyone. Like, I get what he was saying, but I just don't agree with it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Shabazz, Cole and me did the podcast on Tuesday. Go back and check the podcast so you'll hear our pick for that fight as well as all the other fights. Although there was one fight announcement we didn't get to because there was a short notice injury to the Devontae Smith's opponent. He's fighting this guy, Kama Worthy, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
We're both picking Smith still, right, Cole? So
yeah.
No point in
just cements my Smith by knockout pick. Didn't really change.
Even better matchup for him. But yeah, go and check that podcast out if you want to hear our picks. Next up, Mike Perry. Mike Perry says he's broke. Mike Perry says he has $6 in his bank account. Some people are saying it was a joke, but I don't know, man. I mean, what he said in the other part of the post seemed legit. He said he made $51,000, I believe, and Uruguay took $17,000. That makes sense because, Cole, typically the foreign tax is 30%. I remember one time I won a lot of money on DraftKings. This was at UFC 182. I was the first guy who won an event on DraftKings, and I was like, hey, I want to take my money on. They're like, we're taking 30%. I was like, you're taking like, I think I won 10K, and they're like, we're going to take 3,500 or something. I was like, you're joking, right? Like, it was crazy. So that's the first time I've ever been hit with like a tax, because I was with DraftKings. A lot of these other online websites will just send you your money somehow. But I mean, it's kind of sad that he only does have $6, or if he's just exaggerating or joking or whatever. But does this speak to a problem, a bigger problem of the pay in MMA, or does this speak to Mike Perry not managing his money correctly, or to both?
I think it is a bit of both. Like, I don't think Perry is the smartest guy with his money. Like, have you seen his Instagram? He's like, he shows videos him at like the strip club and stuff. So it's obviously he spends money there, but the pay is a big thing. Like, what person can survive off a 10 and 10, and then if you don't win, you only get 10 grand for about like 12 weeks of training, and then getting beat up, and he can't do anything for another like 4 weeks after. It's just hard. Like, I get where a lot of people think of MMA, like a lot of casuals be like, oh, they make so much money because of like McGregor, Jones making so much money, but they don't realize like people fighting in the first couple fights are literally making like 10 grand, and that's all they have. So it's just really tough. Like, I think it's something that the bottom needs to change, but I don't think it will, because they don't bring that much money in, unfortunately. But it does suck how much like people train so hard for this, and then they can't get a good living like other professional sports athletes do.
One thing I want to say about that is, I saw a lot of the comments on BJ Penn, because I wrote the article yesterday. I always read the comments to see what people say, and one of the big things that people said was, this guy makes $100,000, including the fight that I bonus, for 15 minutes of work, but it's really not 15 minutes of work, Cole. It's the training. There's like 2 or 3 months of a training camp getting ready for the fight. You got to pay your manager. You got to pay your coaches. You have to eat properly. Like, there's so much that goes into this. And I feel like that only the top guys are really making decent money. Anyone at the bottom end, or even the mid-tier guys, they're barely getting by. Guys like Mike Perry are relying on the fact that they have, I think, big social media followings, and they're hoping that once their career is over, they're going to transition to something bigger and better. To me, there's obviously a massive pay discrepancy. I mean, we can talk about fighter pay for a whole episode of the podcast. We're not going to do that here today, but there's definitely an issue there with the amount that these guys are getting paid compared to what the UFC is making, as we all know. Like, I'll give you an example, Cole. Dana White keeps bragging about how much viewers these guys on the contender series are doing. Like, he said, like Sean O'Malley did. I can't remember what he said, but a few million, I believe, like 3 million viewers, 3 million people saw this fight. But I believe, and I could be wrong, he only made $5,000 plus 5,000. Like, the contender series guys are making 5 and 5. So the UFC is making so much money off the contender series, and it's like, at some point, you'd hope that, I don't know if unionization is going to happen, but even that the government just steps in and says, hey, this is like wrong. You guys are not paying your fighters enough. And when you see a guy like Mike Perry, who literally just like got his face smashed in, like the worst nose break ever, he just had a war of a fight. Everyone likes Mike Perry. Honestly, I've gained so much respect for him. Like, he's a really good fighter. I didn't really think so at first, but he's really good. It's crazy though that he's going on his Instagram and Twitter and just saying, hey, I'm broke. Like, it's sad, honestly. And then Dana White's got that crazy, office with that poster or that painting of that Yakuza guy having sex with his girlfriend that he paid like $100,000 for, or whatever. It's pretty nuts, man. Let's talk about a few other things here. Katlyn Zingano yesterday announced that she's been released from the UFC. So let's just check her record out. I think she's
10-4.
Yeah, I want to check her UFC record out. What was it? 4? I think it was 4-4, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 4-4. So very up and down career. She had her last fight end with some controversy, getting kicked in the eye by a toenail, and her eye got ripped open against Megan Anderson. Before that, beaten Marion Renault, and then before that, lost 3 straight fights. So she's 37 years old. We know that Katlyn Zingano has had a lot of personal issues. Her husband committed suicide. That obviously hurt her career a lot. It really affected her, I think. And I think she just really never lived up to the hype. But at the same time, Cole, she knocked out Amanda Nunes. She beat Amanda Nunes by knockout in 2014. The last person that beat Amanda Nunes in the UFC caught her when they need featherweights. What else is going on here, man?
Well, she released a statement to ESPN. She said it was kind of mutual, that she has projects on the work or something. And
like, what is that?
I know. And then she never said what it is. It's just she has projects. Like, what could that be? But I think this is kind of a thing where you see so many fighters getting signed in the contender series, they have to cut a lot of fighters. And if she's 1-4 in her last 5, that's not a good look. That's someone that UFC can get rid of and bring in all these new prospects they're signing.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And Shabazz, you say how much Joe Rogan earns? He earns a lot of money, man. I don't know from the UFC, but for his
On
podcast alone, he's making so much money.
on his podcast, he like I forget which episode it was, but he's basically like, yeah, I'm making like millions.
Yeah, he's a millionaire. Or
Yeah.
multi millionaire. Like he's rich. I mean, I don't watch his podcast personally. I'm not really into some of the stuff that he says, but I know he makes a lot of money. But yeah, Zingano, where do you think she lands? Bellator? You think, or you think she's going to take time off? What's your prediction?
Like I think she's gonna take some time off, but I wouldn't be surprised if she goes Bellator and into the featherweight division.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe Cyborg versus Zingano. We never saw that fight, Cole. Like that's a decent fight. Even Julia Budd against Zingano. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, honestly, like I think she's a little bit overrated. But that win over Amanda Nunes and also the Miesha Tate win, which we can't forget. Like those are two big, really big wins. And she just beat Marion Renault last year, and Marion Renault is a good fighter too. So I don't think she's completely shot. I'm just a little surprised that she was released, especially coming off a very controversial fight. All right, a couple of fight announcements here, Cole, and we'll get out of here. I'm surprised this was announced. Katlyn Chookagian's fighting Jennifer Maia at UFC 244. I thought Chookagian would be getting the next title shot, and Maia, I believe, just missed weight against Roxanne Modafferi. So I'm surprised they put her in this title eliminator bout. I'm assuming the winner gets a title shot. Who's next for Valentina? And you think the winner of this fight, or you think there's someone else that we're forgetting about?
Well, who even? I thought Valentina's whole plan was to fight again by the end of the year. So now, I guess that's not going to happen. And it's not like she had any damage from that Carmouche fight. She really could have fought the next week. Like, so now I don't really. I think the UFC's kind of trying to realize like there's not many contenders. We got to hold Shevchenko back. Like, even though she wants to fight a lot, she really can't because there's not that many contenders. But the thing is, like, this fight could be the number one contender fight, but then Chookagian could be only 2 in a row. Where if Andrea Lee beats Joanne Calderwood at 242, that's like what 5 or 6 in a row where she could be the contender. Like slowly, there's building more flyweight contenders, but I just think I thought Chookagian was going to get it anyway, so I was surprised this fight was booked.
You know, I do too, but at the same time, I'm not too disappointed. I mean, she's not an exciting fighter, and people don't enjoy watching her fight. Like, she does have a decent record. It's 5-2, I believe, 3-1 at flyweight. It's okay. I'd rather see Andrea Lee fight for the title, though. I think she's more exciting, more marketable. I think they are banking on Andrea Lee winning that fight, Cole, against Joanne Calderwood. Andrea Lee's actually on a 7-fight win streak right now, so that'd be 8 straight wins. And I think at that point, maybe that is the fight that they're making. They're going to wait for the winner of that fight, but I think Lee probably wins that one. We'll see. I'm just a little surprised that Jane didn't get the title shot, although I'm not terribly upset by it because, again, when was the last time she was in an exciting fight? I can't think of one. I honestly can't. All her fights go to decision, no finishing power, and she really draws up a lot of the ire of MMA fans doing that hut when she throws her strikes. It's kind of like Holly Holm Jr. I don't think a lot of fans like that either. So we'll see what happens, but I am a little surprised that she didn't get the shot just because that division's shallow. And one other fight. Sorry, go ahead.
Even with Andrea Lee, like that fight's September 7th. She could turn around relatively for that December pay-per-view.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is there someone we're forgetting about? I'm just going to take a look at the ranks quickly. Eyes obviously out. Carmouche is out. Calderwood's on a losing streak. Vivian Araujo, she's fighting. Who's she fighting?
Jessica
Eye, yeah. What about Macy Barber? Are they actually going to do Macy Barber against Valentina? I mean, don't do that.
Well, they have Barber, Jillian Robertson.
Right? Yeah,
at Boston.
Yeah.
I honestly think they really like Barber. I think she wins that. They'll give her a top 5 girl, and she wins that. She's fighting for the title.
Is someone dropping down in weight? That's the only other thing I could think of, or someone moving up. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like, could Claudia move up to flyweight and fight Valentina? Could that be a fight? Maybe we're just missing someone here. I don't know, but it's kind of weird because I thought Valentina would be fighting before the end of the year. One last fight announcement here, Cole, that I didn't get to yet. Cortney Casey against Virna Jandiroba at UFC Washington, D.C. Any thoughts on that fight?
It's Jandiroba. She had a lot of hype coming into her debut, and she lost that fight against who'd she fight? Yeah. It wasn't a very good fight. Cortney Casey's been very inconsistent in her career. I think this is honestly a fight where the loser gets cut. I know they're like both kind of near the rankings, but just a fight that Cortney Casey doesn't look good in the UFC. Like Virna had a lot of hype going into her as the Invicta champ and then really disappointed. So I think it's a fight where you're going to see a lot of these matchups where 2 inconsistent people will go up against each other. Loser gets cut, especially with all the people on Contender Series getting signed.
Yeah, Cortney is 4-6, and she really hasn't put together a win streak. She has not. She's won 2 straight fights once in 2016. That's it. So I agree. It could go either way, really. Any other news that we didn't get to that you want to mention?
No, I think that's all.
Okay, cool. All right, guys, thanks for joining us today. As always, Cole, appreciate you jumping in, man, on short notice to talk about Conor McGregor. We'll see what happens with that. Obviously, it was breaking news this morning, so I wanted to get you on to get a different take on the situation. Guys, follow me on Twitter at MMAOB. You can follow this podcast at MMAOddsbreaker.com. Appreciate you guys tuning in today. The comments are always welcome. Appreciate that. YouTube.com/MMAOddsbreaker. Like, share, subscribe, comment, tell your friends about it, guys. Appreciate that. BJPen.com, that's my home right now. Doing all my writing there for the most part. Also some writing at MMAOddsbreaker.com as well. But for the most part, BJPen.com is my home. And MMARings.net, I throw a couple articles out here and there. Cole, plug your stuff. We'll get out of here.
BJPen.com, my Ian Einish interview just got dropped. Right after this, I'm just going to do the fighter picks for DC Stipe. Just anything else, just on my Twitter. I'm always writing news on BJPen and other sites.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks, Cole. Appreciate you joining in today, man. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow for the Friday edition of the show. Until then, keep your eyes tuned to Twitter because I'm sure something's going to happen with Conor McGregor. Guys, have a good day.